Hey folks, welcome back to another review with yours truly, Sam Healey, right here on the Dice Tower. Today we're going to be taking a look at Trails. This is a game from Keymaster Games, designed by Henry Audubon, and basically, I'm going to take a little bit of liberty here. This is Parks Light. 2 to 4 players, about 30 to 40 minutes of game time. Let's get down to the table and take a look, shall we? This is not an expansion for Parks. As I said in the introduction, this is Parks Light, basically. And so if you've played the game Parks, this probably looks very familiar because it really kind of is. This is kind of a microscopic version of Parks in that in Parks, you're visiting all of these different national parks around the country. Whereas here in Trails, you're hiking in one of those parks. Basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to be trying to earn these badges as you walk through these different trails. The badges will give you different things. They'll give you points at the end of the game. They'll also give you different and various kinds of special abilities when you earn them. They're also going to be possibly giving you birds, because that's one of the things that's going to give you points at the end of the game. Whoever sees the most birds on their hike is going to be getting the bird trophy. You're also going to be able to take pictures during the course of your hike, and they give you different things as well. They're basically just going to give you points. Sometimes they'll give you 0 points, but they also will give you birds as well. So it just depends upon which ones you pick up during the course of the game. Now, in a very similar fashion to Parks, what you're basically going to do on your turn is you're going to be able to move your hiker down a certain number of trail spots. So you can move 1 to 2 spaces. Normally, whenever you land on a space, you basically get to do the action that's down at the bottom, and then that's the end of your turn. The different actions are simply you take an acorn, you take a stone, or you take a leaf on these 3. These 2 over here, you're going to be able to turn a resource in for 2 of a different resource, but they both have to be the same. Now, the reason I want to make that clear is because on the other side of this, the nighttime side, you can turn 1 in for 2 resources, but they have to be different resources. So just keep that in mind. This one right here, you're turning in a resource in order to take a picture. When you take a picture, you're going to be able to draw 2 and choose 1, and you put the other one in a discard pile. The discard pile can be wherever you wish, so let's just put it down there for right now. Now, on a future turn, once there is one in the discard pile, you can either take the top one of the discard pile, or you can take 2 face down, choose 1, and put the other one in the discard pile. So that's what this guy does. Now, there is also this wildlife token. Whenever somebody lands on the space where the wildlife bear is, you get to roll this die. And when you roll the die, you basically get to move the bear to wherever that token is. So for example, this die shows that action. And what that allows you to do is, for example, if I went there and I rolled this, I get to do this action and I get to do this action, and I can do them in any order that I wanted to. Now, your players are going to start here on the trailhead, and they're going to march this direction, the direction that their walking stick and the brim of their hat is facing, and they're going to be doing these actions as they travel along. When you reach the trail end, you're going to turn your hiker around, and he's going to start heading back in the other direction. But a couple of other things happen when you hit trail end. First of all, you're going to be able to do whatever the sun is pointing at. So in this particular case, in a 2-player game, there is another side to the trailhead that has more places for the sun to go in a 3 to 4 player game. But in a 2-player game, you're basically going to be able to do that wildlife action that I talked about just a few seconds ago. The second thing you'll be able to do is you'll be able to earn badges. Now, you can earn the 2 badges that are here by turning in the resources that are shown on the card. You also have a secret badge here that will also have different things that you're going to be able to fulfill. So when you get to the trail end, you're going to be able to do a maximum of 3 badges. If you have enough resources to do all 3 of them, then you can do all 3 of them. Maybe you'll just be able to do this one. Maybe you won't be able to do any. So anywhere from 0 to 3 badges are able to be won at the trail end and at the trail head, because once you come back, as you start marching back this direction, when you land on the trailhead, you'll be able to try to get these 2 badges and the one that's in your hand as well. So just realize that when you reach the trail end, the first thing that's going to happen is you're going to be able to do this action. Once you've done that, it will move down to the next one, and then you'll be able to do try to get these badges. And then let's say that you were able to, let's just say that we had enough to get this one. We don't, but let's just say that we do. We'll flip it over in front of us. We'll spend the resources back to the reserves, and then you'll actually refill the spot like so. If you finish your secret badge, then you'll also take a secret one to replace it at the end of your turns. Now, when the second person reaches trail end, this sun is going to move again, but you'll notice that there isn't a little sun action here. But if the sun is over one of the trail sections, you'll basically just be able to take that action for your sun action, and then it'll click down as well. The difference is that when the sun moves off of any of these trail sites, you're going to flip them over to its nighttime side, which basically has a higher yield for the rest of the game, but it's also the game end mechanism, because once someone reaches trail end and the sun marker is on the leftmost space for the sun track, then the person will be able to get a picture. Again, draw 2 and choose 1, or take the top one here. And then they will also take the sun token and place it in front of them, denoting that they triggered the end of the game. Everybody else will be able to take one more action, and then you count points to see who wins. Points, as I described earlier, are on badges like this, and then they're also on photographs like this. You add up all of those points. Some of them are going to gain you different kinds of points. For example, this collector badge here will give you 1 point per rock badge that you have in your tableau at the end of the game. So there are different kinds of scores that can come from these different kinds of badges. You'll also see who has the most birds on all of their cards, whether they are badges or photographs. And whoever has the most will score an additional 4 points at the end of the game. And whoever has the most points is going to be the winner after all those calculations are made. So as far as my final thoughts are concerned for the game, I really do enjoy this game a lot. Now, I really enjoy Parks, and one of the reasons why I picked up this copy of the game is because it matches my original copy of Parks that I really kind of waited and searched for instead of buying the new version, because I like the graphic design better, which means that I also like the design of this one better as well. Now, what this basically does is it takes the game Parks, kind of scrunches it down into a streamlined version of basically the same game with some slight differences. It's a lot easier to take pictures in this one. You don't have to worry about landing on a spot where somebody else is. The canteens are used in a similar fashion, but because you don't have to worry about where you land, and if somebody's already there, the canteens allow you to move as far as you want in the direction that you're facing with one action. You flip it over, and then once you get back to the trailhead, you're able to refill your canteen, and then you can do it again. It's very similar, but it's easier. It's easier to teach, it's easier to follow, and it's easier to play. It's not as hard to do some of the things that you really want to do as it was in Parks. You know, with Parks, it really felt like it was a race to get all of those high point parks into your tableau. This one, it's more about resource management. So it has a very similar feel, but it's a little bit of a different kind of game as well. You're still trying to collect those resources like you are in Parks, but you're just trying to earn the badges. And the badges that you're able to get, except for that secret one that only you can see, it's readily available. So it's part kind of a race to get the resources that you want. And then the rest of it is a set collection thing where you're trying to get as many of the different kinds of badges as there are, because some of those badges will help you get more badges of the same kind, and they'll also help you score more points sometimes if you have a lot of the same kinds. So there's a lot of similarity between this and Parks, but I think that there's enough of a difference to where if you want a brief dip into shallow waters with a game like this, then this is what you're going to want to go. If you want a little bit more of a complex, maybe a little bit more of a difficult, but I use that word very carefully, version of the same game, then you'll play Parks. I don't think Parks is that difficult of the game, don't get me wrong, but compared to this, I think it is. So with all that being said, let's get to my pros and cons. My first pro of the game, I'm a very aesthetic gamer, and this one pleased my aesthetic desires. Now, it doesn't mean that it knocked it out of the park. It wasn't hugely or very flashy or gaudy or anything like that. Had very simple components, but they're all good components. There wasn't anything that felt chintzy. There wasn't anything that felt kind of mailed in. It felt streamlined. It felt ordinary, if I can use that word politely and in a good way. But it didn't feel like they were cutting any corners, and it felt like they really poured the amount of detail into this that they needed to for the kind of game that it is. And that is a game that's going to basically provide a break between two larger games. I think that's where this game is going to fall, although I think it's also a pretty good, if you just have an hour free in the afternoon or something like that with your significant other or with a group of people, this would be a great one to kind of hit the table because it is that fast and it is that light. But the component quality does well for what it is. My second pro for the game is the wildlife token. It's a little bear. I like that, a little black bear. And I like the variety that rolling that wildlife die gives you during the course of a game. I like the fact that it's possibly going to give you one of those other trail sites that you really wanted to hit again before you try to go finish some of those badges, because it could give you the resources that you need. I really did think that that was a cool thing, but it also interjects a little bit of strategy, because the cool thing about the wildlife die for me is that it gives you the ability to do some of those different trail sites more than once or twice in one trip from trail end to trailhead or vice versa. And I like that difference, but it also enters into the realm of chance a little bit. And I like games that have chance, a little bit of luck, and because it makes the game different from time to time. So I really did enjoy the wildlife die mechanism. The set collection aspect of this game, which is kind of resource management, but it really felt like a set collection in a truncated form, because you're not trying to collect sets for the end of the game. You're trying to collect sets in such a way that you'll be able to turn those resources in and grab the badge that you need. But the caveat of only having 8 resources at the end of your turn is a very neat tension builder. Some of the badges that you're needing to get require 5 of your resources. And if you're only allowed to carry 8 over, that kind of, you have to really pick and choose between what badges you're going to go for. And those ones that cost 5 resources of one type, those are the high point badges. And so you're torn between going for those high pointers or going for a lot of the lower point or the mid-level point totals. So I liked that tension that's there. And I liked the set collection in this game, because it wasn't collect all those sets and then score big points at the end of the game. No, it was Okay, collect these sets for trail end. Okay, now that I've got those, what's going on at the trailhead? Now I need to collect these kind of resources to turn them in for those badges. A couple of the other fringe mechanisms that are going on. First of all, the canteens and the pictures. And the pictures, for me, it seems like they wanted it to be a larger mechanism than it actually turned out to be in the games that I played. More often than not, I never was really trying to get pictures, but I think that's possibly because they're easier to get now, so I don't have to worry about it. I'm eventually going to get pictures taken. You don't have to kind of plan on doing it like you have to kind of in parks. So I think they maybe wanted it to be a larger mechanism than it felt like it was in my plays of the game. That's not to say it was bad, but I still consider it kind of a fringe mechanism. It does give you points. It does give you those birds that you're looking for to try to get those 4 points at the end of the game. So it's there. It just never really felt like a major or a main mechanism. But I think they may have wanted it to be. But I still liked it, but take that for what it's worth. The canteens I really enjoyed because you could only use them once and then you couldn't use them again until you got back to the trailhead. And that was a cool thing for me because it allowed you to use it multiple times over the course of the game. But you had to be careful because if you used it at the wrong time, now you were stuck just going 1 or 2 spaces for quite some time, which could really put a cramp in getting some of those badges that you have your eye on. This was a neat, simple mechanism of being able to move further than just 1 or 2 spaces, but only able to do it a restricted number of times in the game. I really did enjoy this, though. It's just one of those things that made the travel aspect of this game a little bit more thinky, but not overly so. My last pro for the game is the fact that it does go for sundown. So when you're flipping over those trail sites to their nighttime side, they become more valuable, but you're also nearing the end of the game. So I did enjoy that. That too, to me, was kind of a tension builder. You are getting more stuff, but you still have that restriction of 8 resources at the end of the game. So you still have to be picky about which ones you take and which ones you don't. But even though you're getting more, you're still able to kind of pick and choose what you discard at the end of your turn if you go over those that 8 amount restriction. So I did enjoy the nighttime sides of those sites because it made the trips and made the actions more valuable, but it also interjected a little bit more of a thinkiness there because you do have to keep in mind what you're going for. You do have to keep in mind what you already have. And I found myself kind of compartmentalizing all of the resources that I had so that they were easily countable, but so that they were also reminding me of the different cards that you're going for. That might telegraph too much to the players you're going up against, so you may not want to do that. But that's what I found myself doing, just so that it could help me plan ahead better. My only real con for the game is that it is not really that much of a con, but compared to its predecessor, Parks, it left me feeling like, man, I want to play Parks again. And it's not so much I want to play Trails again, although I think Trails is going to stay in my collection, and we'll talk about that more in my rating. But when a game makes you want to play a different game instead of itself again, that's kind of a con, I guess. Maybe not. Maybe you have a different opinion. Let me know in the comments. And I do kind of feel like I'd rather play Parks than this. But this has merit because it doesn't take nearly as long to play as Parks. You're probably talking about half the amount of time between this and how long it takes to play Parks. So maybe this will be the one you would choose if you are one of those kinds of people that enjoys more shorter games over the course of a game night rather than 1 or 2 long games. So as far as my rating is concerned, I'm going to give it a strong 7 out of 10. Now, the reason I'm giving it a 7 out of 10 and not something a little bit higher or something a little bit lower, because I really didn't have any serious cons about the game. There's nothing here that I didn't like. I enjoyed everything about it. But first of all, it's a shorter game, and it is going to fit well for 2 to 4 players in about a 30-minute time frame, and that works well in most cases. But sometimes you want just a little bit more than that. You want something that takes about an hour, maybe hour and 15, hour and 20, and gives you the same feel. And that's definitely where Parks is as far as I'm concerned. So there's a lot of good here, and I think this is going to stay on my shelf just so that I have the diversity. If I want to teach a game that is like Parks, but I don't have the time, then I'm going to pull this out. And if I do have the time, then I'm going to pull out Parks. But I think these, a game this size is valuable in and of itself. This is something I can fit easily in a backpack. It does not have a large footprint, and it fits well. It plays fast. So it has merit of its own. But I think between this and Parks, personally, I would probably keep Parks. But because I get to make that choice, I'm going to keep both of them. This is a 7 out of 10. Thanks for joining me. I certainly appreciate it. We'll see you guys and gals on the flip side. Take care.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.